Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Carter, thank you for coming to see me a few days ago, and appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with you. I want to just make sure a couple things, and all due respect to my colleague from Alabama, we actually, the 40,000 troops in Europe, we are on the same page here. We want to see some reassessment of not only in Europe, but kind of around the globe of where we have our resources and so forth. But I want to make sure we put all the numbers on the table. 800 or so billion in Iraq, 400 plus billion in Afghanistan, but the real cost comes later. Not in your department, but in the Veterans Affairs, which will be in the trillions. Is that I mean, the numbers, what I hear is 3, 4, 5 trillion over time. Money that we will have to pay for these brave soldiers who served our country and have now needs and services through the Veterans Administration. So the real cost of the war is in the trillions, not in the billions, in the trillions. And I want to make sure we're here in Armed Services, but when I walk down the hall and go into another meeting, which will be the Veterans Committee, we'll have this discussion, and then we will blame the Defense Department for 800 billion. So I want to make sure as people watch this, it's the big number here. And there are going to be, and I agree with my colleague, there are no easy places in the Defense Department. There's no easy places in the overall budget. We sit on the Budget Committee together, and we are struggling, I would say, on a lot of fronts of how to resolve this. So we have some tough calls, and I hope as we sit down and work on the defense budget, I think you're going to find, as we've talked on the MEADS issue, on this European issue, there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for us to have good conversation about how to manage Defense Department budget, but we got to not keep it in isolation of the other pieces to the equation, because when we go to war, there are multiple components. Because once we leave, at some point, Afghanistan, whatever remains in Iraq, State Department's going to be spending who knows what, because in Afghanistan, they can't support their military. They have no capacity monetarily. Is that a fair statement? I mean, they can't write a check and pay for the defense that we're trying to build for them. Is that fair?
That is correct. At the moment, we are bearing the lion's share of the cost of the Afghan National Security Forces as they are built up.
And you define the lion's share probably, I don't know what the percentage, 80%?
The United States, that's about right,
Yeah.
because the other partners are paying a share of it as well.
They're light on their commitments. That's my view, and that's a personal view. I'm not, I just think we spend a lot in helping all these countries, and some of these others need to lean up a little bit more. But let me leave that off to the side. First, a couple quick questions. Law of the Sea Convention. Do you support that we need to be a signatory to the Law of the Sea Convention in order to put our place on the map?
I do.
Okay. We talked about the ground-based missile mid-course defense system and the importance of it. If confirmed, will you support the 2010 Ballistic Missile Defense Review, which established the GMD as a priority and ensures the program is resourced appropriately?
Yes.
And as you know, I think it's important from the national and international, but also I'm biased. It's located in Alaska, and we need to make sure the resources are there to keep it moving forward. What is your understanding of the Failure Review Board's conclusions and recommendations on the GMD at this point? I know there's been some current reviews.
The Failure Review Board did take up the matter. I think has a pretty good idea of both what happened and what the path to rectification is for that flight test failure.
And isn't it fair to say, I know when on the first stages of this, you're always going to have failures at a higher percentage in the first stages of testing on anything, because you're trying to test it to determine how it works, and you're going to have some failure. And as you move the testing forward, you get a higher level of accuracy and competency. Is that
It is, and in missile defense, it's particularly important because of the nature of the mission. I mean, it's the defense of the country against long-range missiles. You want to make sure things work the way they're supposed to. And so I work very hard with General O'Reilly, who runs the Missile Defense Agency, works for me on missile defense, on the test program to make sure we have tests that are realistic, that they're numerous enough, by the way, that they're affordable enough, because testing is very expensive also, so that we're when we say the system performs at a given level, we have some basis for saying that.
Very good. And it's fair to say that, and this is my simplistic way to look at it, when we did the first kind of testing, it was hitting the missiles on the side. Now we're testing it straight on. The missiles on the side had low accuracy at the beginning, but now they're very accurate in the sense of their capacity.
Right.
And that's through testing and development over time. Is that fair to say?
It is. We changed the kinematics of and geometry of the end game, make that more and more stressing.
And now we're trying to shoot head on, and that takes a little more accuracy and more testing. And as we move forward, we'll improve on that. Is that a fair?
That's right.
On energy security, and this is one that actually there's a good story. I can't remember which newscast had it yesterday in regards to our dependency on foreign oil and where we're engaged in, especially in the Middle East, in defense activity. My argument is the issue of a national energy plan is not, I know a lot of people want to argue and debate over, clean energy issues, cap and trade and all that. My issue is national security and economic security. Do you see the issue of energy from the Defense Department's perspective as an important piece of the equation, trying to figure out how to become more energy efficient? Because I think the Defense Department's about $2 billion over budget because the price of fuel has gone up. But also a lot of our casualties and fatalities are about moving fuel to the front line and defending that. Is that a priority, or where would you kind of rank that?
It has to be a priority for all the three reasons you described. It costs money. It costs lives in a war if you are, for example, trucking fuel around. You put lives at risk to do that, and then, of course, it's a national necessity to strengthen our energy security. So for all those reasons, it's a big deal for the Department of Defense. I will say that we established a post, and this was a initiative that originated in the Congress, a director of operational energy at the Assistant Secretary of Defense level. She reports to me. She's superb. She's has made a big difference just in the short time she's been in office. And she's looking at operational energy, which is the fuel efficiency of vehicles, the insulation of buildings in the field, and things like that. We also are the largest real property owner in the world, as has been mentioned earlier, and therefore our installations and our buildings and their energy security are a big deal for us also. So in all these ways, it's got to be a priority for the department.
Great, and I appreciate that the new staffing that you have in this area, because I think you're right on that DoD has a huge role here, not only in during times of war, but also, as you said, you're a large consumer of energy, and how you can tweak that can make a big deal on the consumption. We briefly talked in our meeting, and I know you're working on it, and that's an updated commentary regarding the report on rare earth. So we'll look rare earth minerals. So we'll look forward to seeing that. And last, because my time is up, is at some point, and maybe it can be down the road, I know we'll have some more discussions in regards to this, and that's on Afghanistan and Pakistan and kind of your assessment. I've heard some already, but I know we'll have some more discussions, so I'll just leave that, and I may send you some additional questions specifically on that. Is that okay?
I look forward to answering them, sir.
Congratulations. Thank you very much for spending the time with me a few days ago.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you.